All right, today we're tackling a big one. Charles Dickens's second novel, Oliver Twist. Now, if you think of Dickens as, the guy who wrote funny, lighthearted stories, well, get ready. This one is a total gut punch. It's a dark, really powerful story that was written for one reason: to shine a harsh light on the brutal realities of life in 19th century England. Just 7 words. But think about it. These 7 words, spoken by this tiny, starving boy in a parish workhouse, have become some of the most famous in the entire English language. It's a moment that has just echoed down through, almost 200 years now. And you've got to understand, this line, it is so much more than just a kid asking for more food. It's really the opening shot in a literary rebellion. Dickens is using this one small, desperate voice to basically put an entire nation on trial for how it treated its most vulnerable people. So, to really get what's going on in Oliver's world, we have to look at the real-world problem that Dickens was taking aim at. Okay, so this right here, this is basically the main villain of the story, before we even meet a single character. The new Poor Law of 1834. The whole idea behind it was, frankly, kind of monstrous. The prevailing theory was that being poor wasn't just bad luck, it was a moral failing. So the solution? They thought if you made life for the poor miserable enough, truly awful, they'd just, work harder and stop being poor. This wasn't a safety net. It was a punishment designed to scare people away from asking for help. And you can really see the hypocrisy right here. The official story? Workhouses were charitable places to help the poor, but the reality? They were basically prisons. And the only crime you had to commit to end up there was being poor. This is the brutal, uncaring system that our main character, Oliver Twist, is born into. All right, so with that backdrop, let's meet our hero. Let's follow the journey of this one small boy in a world that seems absolutely determined to crush him. His early life is just one tragedy after another. He's born in that workhouse. His mother dies right after he's born, so he doesn't even have a name. He suffers starvation, abuse, and then, after that famous more gruel incident, he gets sold off to an undertaker. But here's the turning point. Someone insults his dead mother, and for the first time, Oliver fights back. And that one single act of defiance is what blows up his whole world and sends him running for his life, straight into the giant, unknown maze of London. So, you have to ask yourself, what does a lone, broke kid find when he gets to the biggest city in the world? Is it salvation? Nope. It's something much, much darker. He basically falls right into the clutches of a professional criminal gang. Yeah, almost immediately he runs into a kid named Jack Dawkins, but everybody knows him as the Artful Dodger. And he's this incredibly street-smart, strangely charming pickpocket who offers Oliver food and a place to stay. Of course, that offer comes with some serious strings attached. It's really an invitation into a hidden world, a kind of school for thieves where kids are the primary workforce. So this is the whole crew, Fagin's little operation. You've got Fagin himself, the mastermind who's super manipulative and teaches these orphan boys how to steal, acting like it's all just a fun game. Then you have Bill Sikes. He's the brute force, this truly terrifying housebreaker. And of course, the Artful Dodger, the recruiter, the one who finds kids like Oliver on the street and brings them in. And Oliver, he's so naive. He has no clue what he's got into. He literally doesn't understand they're thieves until he's out on the street and sees the Dodger pick someone's pocket. And then, in all the chaos that follows, guess who gets blamed? Oliver. He's the one who gets caught. Talk about a brutal first lesson in how justice works in London. But here's the thing. That arrest, as terrible as it is, changes absolutely everything. It's the event that kicks off the novel's central conflict, which is basically a tug-of-war for Oliver's soul between two totally different worlds. So on one side, you have the absolute squalor and crime of Fagin's den, and on the other, you have the home of Mr. Brownlow, the kind man Oliver was accused of robbing. See, after Oliver is proven innocent, Mr. Brownlow takes him in, and for the very first time in his life, Oliver experiences real kindness, real comfort. This, of course, makes him a huge threat to Fagin and the gang. Why? Because now he knows their secrets, and he's seen that a better, more virtuous life is actually possible. But wait, there's another layer to this, a huge twist. It turns out it's not just Fagin trying to get Oliver back to keep him quiet. There's this whole other conspiracy going on, led by a mysterious, frankly, sinister guy named Monks.
He's secretly paying Fagin to ruin Oliver's reputation, to turn him into a criminal for good. And the reason? Well, we find out that Monks is actually Oliver's half-brother, and there's a big family inheritance on the line.
And as you can probably guess, this whole secret plot is what sets the stage for the novel's climax. And it is violent, it is tragic, and it is absolutely unforgettable. Now, the unlikely hero in all of this, the moral center of the story really, is Nancy. She's Bill Sykes' lover, completely trapped in that criminal underworld. But she has a soft spot for Oliver and just can't bear to see him destroyed. So in this incredible act of courage, she risks her own life to secretly meet Mr. Brownlow on London Bridge and tell him everything. Well, of course, Fagin finds out. He always does. And being the master manipulator that he is, what does he do? He doesn't confront Nancy. No, that's not his style. Instead, he twists the truth just enough and whispers it into the ear of the most paranoid, violent person he knows, Bill Sykes. The result is just horrific. Sykes flies into a blind rage and brutally murders her. It is one of the most shocking and violent scenes in all of Dickens's writing. It really cemented this book's dark reputation, showing he was not afraid to look at the absolute ugliest side of humanity. But justice in this story is swift and kind of poetic. Sykes goes on the run, but he's completely haunted by what he did. He keeps seeing Nancy's eyes everywhere. An angry mob eventually corners him on a rooftop, and as he's trying to escape, he gets tangled in his own rope and accidentally hangs himself. I mean, the very violence he lived by literally becomes his own end. So, with the villains out of the picture, how does Dickens tie this all up? And what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, for Oliver, it's actually a happy ending. The whole conspiracy with Monks comes to light, his inheritance is restored, and, most important of all, he's adopted by Mr. Brownlow. He finally finds a home, a family, and the kind of peaceful life he's never known. And that's why this novel is so much more than just a good story. You have to see it as a piece of social activism. It dragged the horrors of the workhouse system and child poverty out into the open for the middle and upper classes to see. It gave us these unforgettable characters, like Fagin and the Dodger, and it made this powerful argument that a person's innate goodness can, in fact, survive even the most corrupt and awful environment. Yeah, when you boil it all down, Oliver Twist is really the book that cemented Dickens's reputation. It showed he wasn't just a great entertainer, he was a powerful voice for social reform. He was a crusader, using his stories as a weapon to fight for actual change in the real world. And in the end, it leaves us with a really powerful question, one that's just as relevant now as it was then. In the world of the novel, the answer is a clear yes. But what Dickens really does is force us to turn that question on ourselves, to look at our own world and ask, have we built a society where that same kind of triumph, where goodness can truly overcome a corrupt environment, is actually possible for everyone?